So we're gonna dive into the Brivity platform and a real particular aspect. We're gonna kind of wrap our presentation today around what we call Brivity Connect, which is a relatively new advertising product that we have, and it's why we have my friend Grant here today. He runs the advertising team here at Brivity and is responsible for going out and basically generating these leads and running these campaigns. And we're going to dive into what Brivity Connect is. And then we'll take you guys and kind of give you a little tour of some of the different tools, systems that we've built here at Brivity as part of the Brivity platform. So he's Grant Gould. You guys, my name is Bob Stewart. Thanks for taking some time out of your day today to join us. I appreciate it. And as I get my screen ready here to show you guys, I want to let's have everybody check in. Sometimes when we do these, we've got, there's probably three different folks out in the audience right now. There's people that are Brivity clients, and they're here to kind of check out Brivity Connect and decide, is this something that I want to add to my current, Brivity platform? Then you've got people that, Grant, have been scoping Brivity for a little while. They know quite a bit about it, or they've heard about it, or they have a friend that uses it, and they're here to just hear about it. And then we always have people that, I swear, if we asked them, Grant, they'd be like, I'm not even sure how I got here, right? We got a pretty good marketing team, and we try to draw you folks in to hear a little bit about how Brivity can help your business. So do me a favor, Kristen, just check in. Let me know, are you a Brivity client or not? I just love to get an idea of kind of how the audience balances. So Kristen's out there in Hampton Roads, Virginia. Michelle's a new client. So that's another, or Michael is. Michael, I should have thrown that in there. A lot of times we get new people who are they're excited. They're like, well, where can I go to learn about what I just got? Jim and Ruby, Jim, hey, I was texting with you last night. How you doing, my friend? Shane, we got Susan from Las Vegas. John. All right. I appreciate you guys checking in. Some of you guys, you don't want to talk, and that's okay. That's totally fine, right, Grant? They can sit and creep in the background, and we don't mind at all. So let me go over here and share my screen with you guys and get this presentation loaded up. We're gonna work from some slides today, you guys. And we're gonna talk about getting you better leads and then the platform to close them. So today's Brivity was built around the business of a guy named Ben Kinney, and Ben is our founder, our CEO. Is still here calling the shots at Brivity as we build out our next cool feature. He runs one of the largest teams in the United States. In 2020, they did just north of 6,000 transactions, and Ben Kinney operates teams in about 52 locations around the United States. And we've kind of built a model that we believe can operate in any market. And we've done this in 52 markets ourselves. And we've got thousands of Brivity clients doing this all across the United States. But we built it on this kind of lead generation model. And when we look at this pie here, Grant, on the right, we've got our agents' jobs. And when an agent joins one of our teams, at least, their job are the things on the left, Grant. They work their sphere. We get them out there doing open houses, because those are where we can find those buyers that are as close to buying as anywhere else we can find them. And then we get on the phones and we prospect. And as long as an agent does their job and kind of proves out through our model that they can do their job, we let them into what we call, Grant, the spoils of the business. Those things on the right-hand side, internet leads, listing leads, you don't get those unless you have a good business, right, yeah. Grant? You can't just go out and spend a couple $1,000s on internet leads if you don't have profit, which generally is generated in the beginning on the left-hand side, right? It's working our sphere and our past clients. It's getting out there and doing open houses. It's getting on the phone and prospecting. That's the hard work of real estate. We get the spoils of the business because we have revenue and profit that we can invest in things like internet leads, or we get good at our scripts and finding listings, and so we get leads because of those listings. That other bucket, everybody has something, right? In the past, for Ben, it's been REOs and short sales, not as big of a thing today, right? But it's referrals. He does radio and television ads. No matter what that other thing is, we have built tools for all of these different ways that agents prospect and lead generate in real estate. So we're going to take you guys in today and kind of show you the tools that we've built to cover these different pieces of the pie. This is the Brivity platform, and no matter whether you realize it or not, all of you guys are doing these things in your business. You might just not be doing them all in the same place. Often we do all these things. We're out there trying to find traffic, right? We're trying to capture that traffic. We're trying to get them into our CRM. Hopefully you have one of these, right? So we can nurture that person, because Grant, you know this, Grant's a real estate agent in addition to leading the advertising team here at Brivity. Grant, they don't come into our CRM with a huge bag of cash, like ready to buy today, right? No, we've got to nurture that buyer or that seller prospect until the point where one day that buyer does want to get out and look at houses, or that seller does say, hey, could you come over and maybe look at listing my house, and we get into a transaction. And we have to manage that transaction, right? You guys are all doing that, whether you're doing it through Brivity or not, whether you have a system around how you do your transactions or not, or a model, right? You're doing this. And then high five, Grant. As an agent, you want to be in that green box, right? We're hoping to be there as many times each year as we can, right? We get a paycheck. And out of that paycheck, we have some byproducts, past clients, right? People that we have to continue to nurture until the next time they either refer us business or do business with us again, right? And then the other byproduct is that arrow down there at the bottom, which is hopefully we have some profit out of that transaction, and we can invest that back into the cycle and start that cycle again. And you guys are constantly doing this over and over, right? We're constantly trying to find somebody new to get into our world, right? And if we put the right content and messaging in front of them, we can capture them somehow, right? We nurture them in the CRM. We hopefully get them into a transaction. It's just over and over and over again. Now, we've built tools to do all of these things. So let's dive in and look at a little bit of this. And Brivity really, in your business in many ways, kind of the way it's represented to the world is through your website. And still today, right, it's people are going online, they're finding you. Even when they're being referred to you, they're going and checking you out. I promise, I go and check out the restaurant, Grant, that my friend says, hey, you got to go check that restaurant out. I go look at their menu before I ever head over there. I go online and look at their reviews. I promise you, people are checking you guys out. And when they do, I guess my question to you would be, can they differentiate you from anyone else they might have seen online? And with a Brivity website, the answer is absolutely yes. Okay, you don't represent online like the 300 other agents in your office, Grant. You don't represent online like the 180,000 other agents in your brokerage, right? With a Brivity website, we call them 99% customizable. You can customize every last aspect except for this one little piece that we hold back, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But Grant, you know this, gentleman. This is the website of a friend of ours, Travis Bard, right? He's down in, everybody can tell where he's at. He's in Prescott, Arizona. And guys, if you've ever met Travis, the first time I met him, he had a cowboy hat on. Now that's not him on the horse, but it might as well be, right? Like if Travis was on that horse, Grant, Travis, his belt buckle would be sticking out from behind the horse's head because he wears the really big belt buckle. He's a cowboy, and he sells real estate in Prescott, Arizona. And his website, just right when you land there, you get an immediate understanding of who Travis is. And if we were to dive into his website, it all has a look and a feel that lets you know what you're going to get when you work with this guy, and including like the script. Right, that Prescott script, Grant, doesn't that feel like it was written with like a quill pen or something? So we want you to be able to have a website that represents your brand, the colors, the imagery, right, the words and the phrases, like all the way down to the script. If in Travis's case, it makes sense, right? This is an example. We had a guy come to us and he said, hey, you know what's happening? Watch, it's going to click this, get an instant offer. And so he came to us and he said, hey, there's all these companies coming into my area here in Ohio, right? There's Open Door and Purple Bricks or Zillow Offers or whatever these things are called, right, Grant? They market to consumers to say, hey, get an instant offer on your house, a quick and easy sale. And so Ryan said, hey, I need something in my website that can highlight and showcase the instant offer he went out, he found a company that he could work with to do these instant offers. And he said, I've got to be able to market this. And so we just set out to help him build, the stress-free way of selling your house and a video about instant offers and, the people that have done it and a comparison of a traditional versus an instant offer. And we were able to help him build this out. No problem, super easy, something that in his market he needed. Now, not everybody's going to try to compete against Zillow Offers and Open Door, but Ryan was. Here's an example of a website from Olympia, Washington. This is kind of in our neck of the woods here, Grant. That first shot we saw of the Olympia Brewery is a very iconic shot for anybody that has lived or anywhere around Olympia is driven by that iconic Olympia Brewery there. So what these websites can look and feel however you want them to look and feel. Now, the 1% that we hold back, Grant, is all of the lead gen levers, the things on the website that ultimately a consumer is going to do and it's going to turn them into a prospect or a contact or a lead in our business. And the reason we do that is because we've been doing this for, Grant, I've been doing it for 20 years now. You've been doing it a little bit longer than that. Yep. Grant, you were doing this before it was online, right? You've been doing lead generation, marketing demand generation for well in excess of 20 years, even in the newspaper space, right? Or in the print space before. But you've been doing this in the internet space as long as it's been a thing. And so we're really good at generating leads. We've been doing it for a long time, but we set out, it's been over a year now. Ben Kinney came to us and he said, I want better leads. We were like, what? And he's like, I've been getting leads for 20 years almost, or in Ben's case, 16 years. And there's always kind of been some problems with the leads, problems for the lead and problems for the agent. So we set out to create this thing called Brivity Connect. I want to show it to you guys. So that's what we're going to do here for the next little bit. So here's some of the problems that have been, they've just been present, Grant, ever since you and I started out, on those first IDX feeds when we could first put listings on the internet way back in the early 2000s, right? Consumers don't remember where they visited or how you got their info, what website they were on. Like, they don't remember. Maybe if you catch them while they're still on the website, Grant, you call them and they're still on your site, they'll be like, I'm on your website. But if you catch them an hour later, or God forbid, tomorrow, they don't remember where they were. Okay. They'll say things, Grant, you've called plenty of leads in your life, just like I have. They'll say things like, I was clicking around on something. I was on Facebook and I clicked on something, or I was in my email and I'm not even sure how I got there. They don't know why you're contacting them, Grant. Maybe if you catch them while they're on the website, they're like, but if you catch them tomorrow, right? That first call you make to them is tomorrow. Even if your script is just tight, right? And you let them know who you are, they're still on the defensive immediately. They're like, wait, who's this? Why are they calling me? Right? We know this. You've talked to them.
Yeah.
And then they don't know who you are. Even when you delivered the script and you said, hey, this is Grant Gould with Keller Williams here, they just, because they're on the defensive, they don't know who you are. They don't remember being on your site. You're a good looking guy, but they don't remember your face tomorrow, right? They definitely don't remember your name.
Yeah.
I think it boils down to, at this point, generally, or at this stage, they don't care. And the reason they don't care, they can't remember, they don't know who you are, is because they're not ready, Grant. Like most internet leads, when they come into our world today, they're on a journey, and you'll talk about their journey in a little bit. They're not ready. They're not ready to go see a house tomorrow. They're not ready to go buy today. right? And so this creates a whole set of problems for you as the agent, right? We don't know what their intent is. A lot of times we get these leads and we're not sure. Are they looking to invest, buy, sell? We don't know if they own another house somewhere. Like, we don't know, right? So we're coming in a little bit cold. Okay. We don't know enough about their needs and wants, Grant. We don't necessarily know where they want to live, what they can afford. Are they pre-approved? Like, we don't know. Do they have to sell that other house they live in now, or are they renting now? Like, we're not sure, right? Mm-hmm. We end up, even though they've been on our website, even though they registered on our website, because they don't remember the site, they never even saw our logo up there in the corner, right? It ends up being a cold call most of the time. They're on the defensive. They don't know who we are. It's a cold call. Almost every call that most of us are making into our database, even to our leads, they feel cold. Those calls feel cold when they answer. Now, they don't come back to your website.
Nope.
They can't even tell you what website they were on, remember? And so they don't come back, not of their own volition anyway, right? Grant, I'm a firm believer. You could take 50% of people in any scenario where they're sitting in front of their computer and they've clicked on something, right? From Facebook or Google or wherever. And you could just spin them around in their chair and be like, what website are you on right now? And they'd be like, I don't know. I know where I was on Facebook, and then I clicked on this thing, but I don't know where I'm at now. Right? So to get back there, good luck. And then we don't convert enough of our old leads, and our sphere and past clients do not refer us out as much as they should. This old leads thing, Grant, you and I have been inside of more databases than just about anybody in real estate. And we see every single day these old, dusty, dead leads that somebody paid for, either with sweat. They went out and did an open house, 3 years ago, right? Or with equity, they paid somebody to go help them generate those leads, or maybe they even paid to go generate them themselves. And they're old and dusty, and they're just sitting there. This happens. It's everywhere. It's rampant in our industry. Well, what about if we could just target people that were ready to buy, sell, or invest? What if we could, instead of just showing them properties on your website, Grant? Ooh, this is so cool. We'll just follow them around the internet. Right. Just like Nordstrom does to you when you go look at that pair of shoes on their website. Now you can't shake that pair of shoes on the internet. It's just everywhere. That's what we want to do for you. We want to put properties in front of these leads, no matter where they're at. Right. What about if wherever they went online, Grant, they were on Google or Facebook, didn't matter. They were playing apps on their phone. Like, everywhere that they went, you were there. Hey, wow. We can help you.
Yep.
What if everybody in our database, our old leads, our past client, our sphere, what if there was a way we could just stay top of mind with them? Right? Yep. These are all things that we've done. Right? What if sellers could see you everywhere? What if all the people that might one day sell a house inside your database, just every time they looked up, it was Grant's beautiful mug just staring back at them? Right? That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. So we call it Brivity Connect. And here's a few testimonials. Phil, the reason we use Phil's testimonial is it started fast. Right? In his first 20 days, he had a bunch of leads. You can read the number there, 148. But they're hots, right? Like, he's got 5 buyer's agency agreements signed in the first 20 days. Like, these things come out hot, right? He also spent 50% less than he was spending at the last place. Think. Jacqueline's got a 10x ROI. Grant, you and I don't cross paths in the office as much as we used to, but if we do again in the future, I'm just going to have dollar bills in my pocket, and every time I walk by, I'm going to be like, here's $1, Grant, and you're just going to give me $10 back. Can we do that? Is that a deal?
Sure.
You're going to be broke, Grant, because I'm going to be passing by your office like every 3 minutes. But I mean, that's a really good ROI. And by the way, they had an accepted contract 4 days after this lead came in. That is not common. I just want you guys to know that it happens. It's not common though, right? Don't expect that you're going to have a lead under contract in the first 4 days, but Jacqueline's team did. The reason I want to show you Ken's, if you run a team and you've ever heard on your team, these leads, right? The phone numbers are bad. These leads, right? Ken's agents in just the first couple of days were thanking him. Hey, Ken, these leads are great. And that mindset, Grant, for his agents, it's a big deal, right? That's a really big deal that your agents have that mindset that these are good leads. Why, Grant?
Because if they think the leads are bad, the leads will be bad.
Yeah, they won't call them, right? The leads are whatever they think they are. The leads are whatever they think they are. And then Jeff's team, they're blowing this thing away. Like they're really happy with their Brivity Connect. And ultimately for him at the end of the day, it's about adding dollars, GCI dollars to the bottom line.
Yep.
So Grant, tell me, like, kind of guide me through this slide and talk to me about the difference between what most leads kind of experience versus what somebody experiences that's a Brivity Connect lead.
Sure. So the bottom line represents kind of the average follow-up of most real estate agents, most systems. They may make a few phone calls, which is what those little tick marks, those are all points of contact. And they may make a few phone calls, they may send a text, they may send an email, they may even put them on a listing alert, so that they're once a month or whenever, or even every day, but that doesn't mean that the consumer's looking at it. They're staying in front of people. So most systems that are being run out there do not stay in front of the consumer anywhere near enough times. Brivity, on the other hand, Brivity is designed to stay in front of contacts through a multitude of different methods, including a really robust listing alert service, our dialers, our what we call our auto plans, which is auto emails, auto texts, our market reports. And then on top of all of that, we're doing banner ads across the Google display network, as well as staying in front of them with what's like a listing alert, but digitally on Facebook and in their partners. So we're really in front of people. And at the end of the day, most of the leads, as you said earlier, do not come into the system ready to take action. Most leads come in, somewhere in their journey, which is really dependent on what's going on in their life, what their plan is. And what we need to do and be focused on is staying in front of them so that when they get to the end of that journey and they're ready to take action, that we're at the top of their short list, or we are their short list. And that's really what Brivity is designed to do.
So what most agents would love, and really the mindset people come into lead generation or lead conversion with is, got a lead, they're going to buy a house, I got to get them right now, and I don't give a shit what part of their journey they're on, right? Like, Grant, like, we're going to turn them into a buyer, we're going to do it. First off, for all those reasons we talked about earlier, they don't care, they don't know who you are, they don't listen to you, they just they tune out because they're at the beginning of their journey. And we want every lead we get to be at the end of their journey, but we need to have a platform, a system. We need to have this engagement that brings them in, and it doesn't matter at what point they are in the journey. Like, we're going to be there all along the way till they're ready. This is not about us, unfortunately. This is about delivering the dream of home ownership at their schedule, right? All right, so let's when you get leads, a lot of times it's name, email, maybe you've got a phone number, maybe you have one property they looked at if it was a Zillow lead or something. Brivity Connect, we're going to get name, email, phone. Okay, we're going to get the properties they viewed. Oftentimes, before you even get to that lead the first time, we're going to have been able to drive them back or re-engage them for a second, a third, a fourth property view, right? Time frame. What's an intent question, Grant? What would be an example of one?
Do you currently own a home you need to sell?
Yeah, that's a good one. right? We definitely want to know that. So, and Grant and his team will work with you to figure out, what do you want to know? What do you want to know? Now, there is, the more we want to know, the more the cost is going to go up, because every additional thing that we ask somebody to fill out, it's going to, get a few more people to not want to do it and bounce, and that drives the cost up a little bit. But his team will work with you to figure out, what do you want to know? Like, what do you want your Brivity Connect lead to look like? And they're going to guide you on that. So, increased lead volume, qualified engaged leads, faster conversion times, more motivated agents. Oh, that's so big. If you run a team, that middle one, more motivated agents.
Yep.
Smarter communication, because we're going to know a little bit more about that lead than we generally have known in the past. It's going to massively increase your website traffic, because we can actually do this and engage the existing database as well, not just the new leads that are coming in the door, and we'll show you that here in a minute. And then it's managed on your behalf by experts. And Grant, you've heard me say this kind of tongue-in-cheek comment a lot, but if you're a real estate agent out there managing your own advertising, in my opinion, look, take it for what it's worth, you're a FSBO.
Yep.
Right, Grant? You are a FSBO, because what does a FSBO do? They try to market against professionals. Yeah. Right? They're competing against real estate agents that do that job all day long, every day. And there's somebody that just is going to try to do it. If you're running your own advertising campaigns, you are competing against Grant. And good luck. I promise you he's going to beat you every single time, because he's got a team of 7 people. They're all analysts. They sit at these big computer monitors, and they use these programs to make sure that they're optimizing these campaigns. Like, you are at a severe disadvantage.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think about that, you're putting your budget and your spend up against professionals. So don't do that. I just think it's, there's better things you could be doing in your business as a real estate agent. You should be leveraging out that marketing and lead generation lever to somebody else. Again, take that for what it's worth from me, but I think that analogy makes a lot of sense. So let's talk about these leads. There's 3 aspects to Brivity Connect, Grant. There's the lead aspect. There's what we call retargeting, which is putting properties up in front of these people all around the internet. And then there's remarketing, which is just driving and hammering home your brand message to these people. So let's talk about the first one, lower cost leads. And let's talk specifically, as we go out and help them generate leads, about the campaign we were doing for Jeff Eller. This is a little bit outdated now, right? But this is such an effective kind of representation of what you can do.
Sure. So in this campaign, and really in every campaign, what we want to do is figure out, first of all, who are we trying to attract as a lead? And then based on that information, in this example right here, the person we were trying to attract is a move up who was living in community type housing in the Vegas area, that might have owned in a townhouse, a townhome, or a building, or a community that had a community pool. And during the time when we launched this last year, most of those community pools were closed. So we thought it would be a great idea, and it was, to run campaigns for people interested in buying a home with a private pool. And in this case, Henderson, which is a great area of Las Vegas, we were running that campaign. Really, we were, even though, yes, we were looking to get, buyers, but not as much as we were looking to find people who wanted to sell their current place and buy, before they could buy the new place. Because
what Jeff knows, Grant, about that area down there is most first-time home buyers don't buy between 500 and $1 million in Henderson, right?
No,
somebody's going to buy between 500 and $1 million in Henderson and need a private pool. There's a high likelihood they own something today.
And really, so the difference between like doing this type of campaign with these carousel ads, which is what we're doing here, where we're feeding the listings, they're updating every hour. from a specific feed that we created. And then what we're doing is we're basically teaching or helping Facebook to help find us that individual, because Facebook, when you put the right stuff in front of them, and that's what we do in the consultation calls, we figure out what the right stuff is, what content should we be showing, then it allows Facebook to go out and find your audience. And because these ads continuously run, they're not like a just listed that, which I love doing just listeds, don't get me wrong, but they actually, because they run for so long, for in some cases months and months and months, we've really given Facebook a lot of time to find that right audience, which is really the big difference between doing this kind of campaign in a single property, just listed or price reduced type campaign.
We all know, like we all realize that the ads we see are indicative of the things that we're interested in. It's just the internet has figured this out, and Facebook is at the apex of figuring that out. And so when we put these ads out there, over time, they get even better and better. And the longer these things run, the better Facebook gets at putting those ads in front of the right person that they know enough about. Because look, they're not going to put this ad in front of somebody that makes 30 grand a year and rents right now and has a 580 credit score. Like, Facebook knows all those things about most of us, by the way. Right. Yeah. So they're going to end up putting this ad in front of a homeowner that makes enough money to afford a $500 to $1 million. And over time, they get even better at putting the ad in front of the right person. So this next piece, so we use Facebook forms, which makes the consumer experience frictionless, right? They can just say, oh, I'm interested in that. Boom, their information's already filled out, including in many cases their phone number. You guys would be shocked, or at least I was, at how many phone numbers Facebook is sitting on for many of us. But we use these Facebook forms, and then we kind of pass them to this next page, which is called the interstitial page, the one that says, okay, you're all set, like you're ready to go see the property. When they hit see details and photos, we are loading on the fly the ability to pass them to your website and log them in.
Yep.
And Grant, like, talk about why is that important? Like, and what's the magic in that?
Sure. I mean, it's about the user experience. So in most systems, like, when I've test other things, just because Ben tells me to test stuff, as I test other platforms and stuff, the number one challenge in most of the things I test is that you're asking them to fill this lead form out over here, which
right here,
yep. Right there, but then you're giving them a link to go to where they want to go to, but then shortly after, usually within seconds, you're asking them to register again. and that is just that's a horrible user experience. So that was like the first thing that Ben said, we have to solve this. We just have to. And it sounds like it's an easy thing, but it's actually not.
No.
It was a very different, very difficult, very creative thing we had to do to make it work. It's
super complex. Like, we're throwing back to Facebook on the fly, right? These credentials that say, hey, this dude just registered here. And you send them here and log them in. It's
protect and all of this while we have to protect people's privacy to maintain their privacy policies.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Really so that, guys, like, I feel like balloons should be dropping out of the sky right now, Grant, a little bit of like confetti or something. Cause like this piece is such a major deal, because now when they get to the website, we can see what they're visited. We can track that behavior. They go and look at a second or a third house, we can show you that. If they go set up a saved search, we can show you that. If they want to request a tour and in person, they don't have to fill their information out again. We already know who they are, and we've passed all that data or those credentials from Facebook.
Yeah, it's actually a lot more like a portal experience. It's because they never feel like they got, we never had to bop them over the head again when they got on the website, to drag them into the cave. They're just logged in. So they never really they never feel that we corrupt the experience once we got them on the site. And they just, from there forward, they're just always logged in and can freely use the website and look at as many properties as they want.
So those leads end up being a lower cost and a higher quality. And so look, we're target. There's something to know about Facebook, and we talked about it a second ago, but let's explore a little bit more. They don't get paid until they get the right ad in front of the right person, right, Grant? So it behooves them to make sure that the ads that they're showing to people are the right ad for the right person. Yeah. And over time, the longer that they're out there running that ad, the better they get. Because think about this, Grant. If they're running our ad, they're putting it to people there in the Vegas area that might want to buy a pool in Henderson between 500 million. Let's say they're putting it in front of me and you just, every time you see that ad, you just scroll right by it. You don't even slow down at all. But every time I see that ad, I stop for a second. And I'm like, no, not right now. And then I keep going. And then the next time they're like, wait, he stopped for a second. Let's put it in front of that guy again. Let's see what he does. And they put it back in front of me. And this time I stop and maybe I scroll across a couple of the images. And I'm like, no, I'm good. And I keep going, right? Yeah. They're going to be like, that's the guy. We got to get that guy. He seems interested. Whereas you, who just keep scrolling, they're like, well, stop sending it in front of that guy. He's not really doing anything. We'll try him again in a week or a month or something, right? Yeah. So they're really good at this. And then over time, we actually help them get better. Talk about what's a lookalike audience. How do we leverage those?
Sure. So lookalike audiences are audiences that are created based on a intent that we're tracking through the pixel. So a good example of that is, let's say anyone who goes to a real estate website or your real estate website and actually engages in a search. A person who comes to a real estate website and actually, takes the time to set up a search to filter some properties versus a person who comes into the site and then a few seconds later leaves is a much higher intent activity. So the higher the intent activity, of course, the better the match will be to the right audience. But it really helps Facebook to then say, oh, you want more people that look like them. Here you go. So, and they'll take a sample size of 100 people that all conducted a search, or maybe they looked at least 3 or 4 houses. And that would be the high intent that we're tracking. So there's all different ones depending on how much traffic and what kind of data size we can get out of it.
So this is, we're helping train Facebook's algorithms to get even smarter and help us spend our money more efficiently on the right people. Yeah. We say, hey, you gave us 1,000, thanks, high five, we appreciate that. But we'd like more like this group of 100 that you gave us. And then we send that group of 100 back to them and say, these people, figure it out, Facebook, use that $1 trillion algorithm to figure out how to get us more of these people, and they turn around and do that. And so over time, the longer these campaigns run, the better they get, because we actually help them train Facebook to give us the right people.
Yeah.
All right. So
it can, by the way, too, work the opposite way if you don't know what you're doing. Yeah. And you could actually be giving them more people that are like, that's not the person I want.
Yeah. You could be training them the wrong way.
Leads get worse and worse and worse. So,
that's right.
Yeah.
All right. So dynamic property targeting, or we call it retargeting, is where every lead is retargeted with personalized listings across various platforms. So if we can get them on the website looking at anything, Grant,
yeah,
right, anything, then we start to go out and say, look, we just saw this guy here. They were looking at this. We feed that information back up to Facebook, and Facebook's kind of network of places that you can advertise through. Instagram and Facebook are the 2 major ones, but there are a variety of other apps and websites and things that Facebook is starting to feed advertising to now. And we basically say, hey, look, this guy, this lead Grant, he looked at a property here in Bellingham. It was listed at $500,000. Let's start showing him properties around Bellingham right around $500,000. And everywhere Grant goes, we just start following him with similar properties to the ones that he's looked at. Grant, on most teams that we do this with, their traffic goes from somewhere between 50 to 100% more traffic in that next 30 days as we start targeting people. Because, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, and it's really about the re-engagement. Because again, one of the challenges that you stated in the very beginning is they come to our website once and never come back. This actually, I mean, I'm in CRMs that, you know, in the first 30 days, I see somebody came back every other day, or 20 something times, you know, in the first 30 days from becoming a lead. That person is starting to get sticky on that site. And that's really the name of the game. It's not just getting the lead. It's how do you condition the user, the lead, to make your website the go-to when they're looking at properties. And that's what this part of the campaign does.
Because here's the thing, Grant, on average, they're not going to buy for 9 months.
No.
And we got to figure out, how do we be at the top of that short list in 9 months? And one of the ways we be there is by conditioning them. Yeah. We're creatures of habit. Yeah. Like, I don't know. I always go to Expedia. Like when I'm going to do travel stuff, I do it on Expedia. And whenever I can't find what I want there, I end up having to go somewhere else. And I complain about that I don't know what the heck's going on over there on the other thing, right? On Hotwire or whatever. I'm like, this freaking Hotwire doesn't work like Expedia. And I guess I got to use this thing. But like, we're creatures of habit.
Yep.
When we get used to something because we're being driven back there over and over and over again, you know, when we have to go somewhere else to get that thing, it feels and looks foreign. It works foreign. You're like, where do I click here? Right. So we are absolutely creatures of habit. And when you think about this 9-month journey on average that most of these people are on, if we can make your website their habit, because we're sending them listing alerts, because we've got these retargeting campaigns going to them, because we've got your brand message just being driven, we'll talk about that in a second, into their head, right? They have a much lower likelihood to deviate to somewhere else to go start, you know, kind of relearning a new habit.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. So the retargeting, that piece is so big. And it's not just on the leads we generate for you. We'll start retargeting anybody you guys get to your website, which means if you're a Brivity client today or you become one, we get a bunch of listing alerts going out to our buyer leads. If they just come back one time, we're like, we got you, hooks in. We're going to start following you around the internet now, and you're going to get sick of seeing properties from us. But it's okay because you're actually going to form a habit.
Yep.
All right. The Brivity Display Network is this branding campaign where we basically, Grant, follow them around the internet no matter where they go.
Outside of Facebook. This is the outside.
Outside. Everything else, right? So if they lean right, Grant, they like their news from Fox, you'll be there. Yep. Right? They lean a little left. They like to go to MSNBC. You'll be there. They're a Wall Street Journal reader. Awesome. You'll be on the Wall Street Journal, and they'll be thinking to themselves, holy smokes, like Grant Gould must spend $1 million on average. This dude's on the Wall Street Journal.
Yeah.
If they just read their local Bellingham newspaper here, the Bellingham Herald, Grant, you'll be on there. If they get tired of the news, because now they've been on all those news sites, right? And they're just like, let me just play Candy Crush. Like, I'm bored of the news. And they sit down on an app on their phone. They're going to be like, Grant's on my games too. Like, will this guy just leave me alone for a minute? Yeah. You're going to be everywhere. And it's going to seem to them like you do spend $1 million on advertising. But what we really do is we pixel that person. We just follow them around the internet. And Google's really good at this, right? They help us make sure that our ads are in front of the right person at the right time with the right message. And Grant's team, your team, will help people kind of figure out what that message is. And then we'll actually help create the collateral for that. Is that right?
Absolutely. I'll tell you a really quick story. So one of the listings I took, which was a great listing, somebody I met at the dog park was talking to, it was right at the time I got my license. I said, hey, I finally got my license. And they were telling me about how, they were thinking about selling their second house. But, you know, they were already really knew an agent. I won't say who, but you know, went to church with that person, you know, and probably needs to use them again. And I said, do me a favor. Let me, you know, go to my website, propertysoldteam.com. And I said, just you just see what's different about what we do versus all the other agents. And she did. And within a few weeks, she came back to me and said, you're annoying. she said, I see you everywhere. She ended up listing with me. When I asked her, I said, well, how did you deal with the other person? She said, well, I asked him, how much does he spend on marketing and advertising? He said to her, well, I've been in the business for a really long time, so I don't need to spend any money anymore on advertising. And she said, I want that guy.
How are you going to advertise my house?
Yeah, I want Grant who
follows
me everywhere. So
that's awesome. Jeff, I'll answer that. So Jeff said, I love that when somebody signs up, Brivity Connect creates a login to the site and logs them in to create a listing alert. Is it possible to provide a list of past leads and have the system start retargeting them as well, Grant?
It is. We actually remarketing to your CRM is one of our services that we offer. So
Jeff, what it will do, like as we're out there retargeting those people, we give them that frictionless experience. If they do hit one of your ads, it will bring them in and log them into the CRM kind of frictionlessly. Is that the right word? So yes, we can do it with past clients as well. It's a lot more effective once they do get there and start looking at something, because then we have specific properties to retarget them with. But so it'll be a little bit looser when we don't know what they're looking at on those past clients yet, Jeff. But yes, they can be retargeted with.
We have a lot of clients who that just haven't paid a lot of attention to their, to their contacts, that when they start with Brivity, that's the first thing we do, because that's what they need most, is to re-engage their database. So once it's set up in their Brivity CRM, then we can do an export of everyone they want us to do. And then we can upload that into and build a custom audience of those people. And then start doing marketing like this.
So that's a very common approach in the beginning, Jeff, is like, man, I got 8,000 leads in here and 6,000 of them I haven't talked to in over a year. Let's go try to get some of those people bubbling up to the top. Absolutely. That's one of the first things you actually see start to happen in there, is these kind of folks that have been floating around in this database start to return as visitors. All right. So here's just some of the examples of some of the different ad units that are out there. All right. So beyond that, we've got listing alerts and market reports inside of Brivity. So as those leads come in, most of those leads are going to automatically get set up with a listing alert. And then we've got a strategy around how we also send a market report out to these leads so that it shows them kind of what's happening in that area where they might want to, or thinking about potentially buying. We've got auto plans. We give you guys all of the auto plans that we use on Ben Kinney's team. So if you ever, we give you our 10 days of pain. We've got all these variations of it. We give you the Facebook version. We give you if they just straight came to your website, or if they were an open house lead or a quickly lead or whatever kind of lead they are, we've got some kind of a plan that can get applied to these leads. And the way these things can be set up, Grant, is lead comes in, right? Lead can get routed to one of your agents based on a whole bunch of criteria. Plan gets applied. First text message goes out 3 or 4 minutes after that lead registered, and your agent, even though they're at dinner or they're out showing another house, they start talking via text to that lead. And once that lead replies, it'll pause that plan, and the agent steps in and takes over. But we've perfected this 10 days of pain over the last many years. We're always tweaking it every year. We come out with some new updates to it. Obviously last year's updates had things to do with like virtual showings and offerings, those kinds of things. You're going to see all of the activity of Brivity Connect inside of your dashboard, inside of Brivity. So you'll be able to see all those return visitors. What sites were they coming from? Because Grant, we joke about this, but sometimes Grant's a Republican and sometimes Grant's a Democrat, because if they came from Fox News, Grant's going to go that way when he calls them. And if they came from MSNBC, he's going to go this way. So you can see some of that behavior back here in the dashboard. And that's really powerful behavior, because it allows you to have a smarter conversation, right? It allows you to mirror and match somebody, or to kind of, watch what you say, right? But that's really valuable back here in the dashboard. And then this concept of like better data immediately. And this is a kind of an old example now, but it doesn't matter. The premise here remains the same, which is this lead first came in, Grant, at 9:18 on 11/24. We can see the lead was submitted, and we dummied the lead's name or the details up, but this is a real lead in terms of this view behavior right here out of Ben Kinney's account here in Bellingham, Washington. So it came in at 9:18. It left for about the next 5 hours, almost 3.5 or 4.5 hours. The next view it has at 1:56. Most leads don't leave your website and 5 hours later as they come back. So we had already engaged this person with some similar properties, and they stumbled across more of those properties 4.5 hours later.
Yep.
And then 10 minutes after that. And then like another property view right after that. So by the time that they got in to look at this lead, they had looked at 4 properties. And oh, by the way, 2 of those properties they viewed more than once.
Yep.
So they were showing this extra level of interest, and it allows the agent who's about to make that phone call to have a smarter conversation, because the agent who picked this up, they're going to realize that this person is willing to live anywhere in Whatcom County because they're looking from Blaine to Cedar-Woolley. Like that's a massive expanse, which is probably going to give you an indication that either they don't know the area very well, right? Or they're just they don't really care where they live.
Yeah.
You know, and then obviously we've got some other things in there, right? They looks like they're probably going to end up buying around the 350 to 400 range, although they maybe would like a smoking deal in Blaine there, right? But it just gives us better information when we reach out to that consumer. And then on an ongoing basis, they're going to have more return activity, which is going to give you even more ammo, more options or opportunities to reach out to them. It's warmer calls, easier conversions. All right, that's Brivity Connect. And I wouldn't even say really quick because we really drilled into that. I'm just going to go through some of the other in this last 10 minutes to give you guys some of the other things Brivity does. Okay. And then at the very end here, I'm going to give you a way that you can connect with us if you want more information or you're really interested, or maybe you're like, you know what, just take my credit card. Like this, I got to get this. All right. So no matter where your leads come from, we can get them all into Brivity. Okay. It doesn't matter if they come from Zillow or your old website. It does not matter. Dave Ramsey, it doesn't matter where they come from. We can get them automatically feeding into Brivity so that you can apply the same kind of systems and models to convert your leads no matter where they come from. It's really important. These next couple of things, the virtual tools that we built out, so like the virtual showing requests or the ability to do these virtual open houses, these are just kind of a feature of the website, but here's why I bring them up. In March of 2020, right, or about a year ago, or a little more than a year ago, like our world got wrecked. Everybody's world got wrecked, right? Like COVID hit, and in our business, we rely heavily on open houses. It's been a really successful strategy for us for years. And in almost every one of our markets, we were done. We couldn't do open houses anymore. Because Ben Kinney, who owns Brivity, has boots on the ground, and this was impacting our bottom line, we took our entire development team, and in like 4 days, they banged out all of these kind of virtual tools. We had these safety pages we built on the websites, the virtual open house, so somebody could request a virtual open house tour. Like working with a company that's in this with you, that has boots on the ground like you, that when the market shifts like fast and hard, has to do something to react. I believe that there's a lot of value in that. And so I show you guys these things that our team built in a couple of days to let you know, like we're in this with you. And when things need to change, we're going to dedicate the resources to making those things right. So we've got these open house registration concepts now that most of our markets, Grant, are back to being able to do open houses, right? It's really, really kind of cool pages you can put on a laptop or an iPhone or iPad or any kind of a tablet. Somebody can log in and register at that open house. Lead goes into the CRM automatically. Listing alert gets set up automatically. If you want, an auto plan can get triggered, right? Maybe 2 hours later, and we've got these plans built that we'll give to you guys. A couple hours later, a text goes out. Hey, thanks for dropping by our open house today. What do you guys think? Did you have any questions after having a little bit of time to think about it? right? If they don't answer 15 minutes later, hey, I forgot to ask, did you guys want to make an offer on this house? I promised the sellers I'd ask that of every buyer that came through, right? And off we go. Seller lead capture, Grant. We've got these really, I mean, there's some of the best in class, like seller lead capture landing pages to give people valuations on their homes. And the thing, like kind of the report they end up getting is really cool. They can change the comps and play around with it. And we give them 3 different valuations, including one that's crunched from numbers from your MLS. Quickly is our text-based mobile lead strategy. So we give you guys a keyword. That keyword can tap into the MLS, and somebody can text that keyword, and they can get information about any property in the MLS, and it updates without you having to do anything. Quickly, the text strategy, here's what I would say about texting. If you are doing any kind of physical marketing in the real world, it can be enhanced by a text call to action. And we've got lots, events are a great example of this, right? You do a farmer's market, or, you're out in public in any way, at any kind of an event. We've got an awesome strategy around that using Quickly. Grant, I got the lady at my local Safeway that does the little dividers between groceries, when you put them on the grocery thing.
Yep.
And her thing is, it says like, call me. It was like, it gives her phone number on there. And I always wonder, like, does anybody just stand in line and just be like, all right, I'm going to call and say, hey, Jen, how's it going? Like that thing needs a text call to action, because lots of people stand in front of that thing with our phones out waiting for the person in front of us to finish bagging their groceries. And like, if she was offering me, see what your house is worth, text, home value to 59559, like off I go. Like she might generate leads from the checkout line. I guarantee she's not getting many phone calls. We talked about the auto plans already, and this idea that we've got a ton of them. We give them all to you guys. You can have any of Ben Kinney's plans. And then you can also request or share plans from any of the thousands of teams that we have inside of the Brivity community. And every day in our masterminds group on Facebook, there are people sharing plans or asking, hey, does anybody have a 6-month seller nurture plan? And you can easily in one click share those plans between accounts. The listing alerts, Grant, we've been doing listing alerts for 19 of our 20 years and my 20 years of doing real estate. One of the things that we do in listing alerts today that we haven't always done, which is just ridiculous, that it took us this long to figure this out, but we have seller calls to action in listing alerts now, right? Hey, do you need to sell your house before you buy the next one? See what your house is worth. So we will actually get hand raisers out of your buyer leads that say, hey, I actually am curious what my house is worth. That's been really effective. Market reports. Guys, Grant's a real estate agent. My mom is a real estate agent. She friggin' loves her market reports. Like, she gets a come list me email from her market reports like once a month. She's always sharing them in our masterminds group. But these give consumers, it irritates me that Zillow exists. It really does, because if our MLSs, 15 years ago would have said, hey, you guys can share all of the sold and pending data online with your customers. Like, it's cool. It's your data. Like, let us help you. Zillow would not have been able to stand up in the middle of our industry, Grant. You know this. Yep. It was our MLS is holding that pending and sold data back that allowed Zillow to come in and scrape that data from all these county recorder offices around the United States and stand Zillow up as kind of this idea that I could go there to see what my neighbors got for their house.
Yep.
Today, you have to make sure that your past clients, sphere, seller prospects do not go to Zillow to see what their neighbor's house just sold for. They come to you, to your market report. One of our favorite tools, Brivity Go, that's the app on the go, your CRM on the go. The dialer, if you make 50 dials a day into your database, we did a bunch of testing around this. If you made 50 dials a day into your database, using a dialer could save you 2 hours a week. It takes about 28 seconds to transition from call to call. If you did the math on that 50 dials a day, you'd save a little over 2 hours a week simply by not manually calling into your database. The dialer is a big deal. The message center allows you to kind of see all your texts all housed in one place, so you can see common themes, especially if you run a team. You can see how your team's responding to common themes. You can make sure everybody's getting the response that you would want or hope. that your folks are responding with. The CMA tool, eventually those sellers who are looking at their market reports are going to go, Grant, do you think I could get as much as my neighbor got? And you're going to say, I don't know. Let me run a CMA for you. We've got that tool. The transaction automation, we could do a whole hour on this. Like it is, we originally built Brivity to manage Ben's growing transaction volume. Today in Bellingham, Washington, we have one lady that last year, now she's got some VAs that come in and out of her world, but she as one kind of in-house employee managed about 800 pending transactions last year using these smart transaction auto plans, which can automate a ton of the communication that needs to occur inside of your transaction. And oh, by the way, as you're doing things inside that transaction, we're communicating back to your clients everything that you want communicated back to your clients so that they know what they're paying you for. At the end of the day, right? What was all the work you did to get my house sold? Can I see it? Brivity is the way that you let them see it. We've got a thing called Brivity Marketer that does these AI just listed and just sold postcards where we use an algorithm to help you target the best person that should receive your just listed or just sold postcards. Brivity Marketer today, you can run Facebook ads on there, your own self-serve Facebook ads for just listed, just sold, home value, a couple of other open house, a couple other styles of Facebook ads, and then an extensive library of postcard marketing that you can do with tons of pre-built templates, and you can fully edit those templates to kind of make your designs however you want, or you can even upload your own designs. Brivity Marketer, super powerful. And then Brivity Design, which is probably the most underutilized tool in the Brivity platform tool belt, which is, it helps you basically, you can really easily kind of lay out a design, and then you can spin that design into hundreds of different sizes for anywhere that you might want to use that design. It's a really cool tool. We've got VAs that come trained on Brivity if you wanted one. We've also got discounts on coaching. We own a coaching company. Ben owns a coaching company with a lady named Debbie DeGroat. It's called Forward Coaching. Tons of training and help. We have plans from the very affordable up to your team makes a ton of money, ton of business, and we're going to help you make a ton more. And the plans kind of, the cost goes up as you have more and more users engaged in the system. Here's the deal. If you are curious about what the cost might be at your level, and they go somewhere between 99 up to 1,000, okay? And then there are other things that cost more, like leads. If you want to do a budget of leads and retargeting and remarketing, that's a little bit extra, right? But if you're interested, you're curious, you're not a Brivity client today, I want you to text platform to 59559. If you are a Brivity client, and you just want to talk to Grant and his team about Brivity Connect, what I want you to do, and I don't have it on here, but I want you to text the phrase need leads. Need leads. I'll even type it in here for you. Mm-hmm. Text need leads to 59559. All one word, no space, just need leads to 59559. Or platform, if you're not a Brivity client today and you're curious about the whole ball of wax, right? Text platform to 59559. Somebody will jump in there and give you a call just as soon as possible. It'll probably be in the next little bit. There's also a place where you can go, the response you get, you can go and book a time that you would like to speak with Grant or Sarah, one of the awesome people on the leads, the marketing team. All right. We've answered a couple questions along the way. I think James has answered a couple questions. Who else has a question? All right. Appreciate you guys spending the last hour with us. His name is Grant. My name is Bob. If you have any questions, you guys can reach out to us. I'm Bob at Ben Kinney. He's Grant at Brivity.com. Grant, have an awesome week, buddy. Big hugs the next time I see you, and we'll do this again soon, I'm sure.
All right. Good hanging with you, Bob.
Always. All right, you guys get out of here. Have an awesome rest of your week, and we'll talk to you soon. He's Grant. I'm Bob. Bye, everybody.